This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it's another great morning right here in Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday, the 19th of April 2021. We're coming to you live from the UBC Auditorium. So just in case you're planning to pay us a visit, well, you can always come by Nile Avenue just opposite the Parliament of Uganda. Well, we are on to the week officially, I would say, because it was quite a public holiday. All right, I hope you had a good time. The stretch was long, all the way from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday was the last day. So maybe you could allow me to say that this Tuesday is the official Monday. My name is Philomena, Mastiko, and of course it is a full house this morning with Mollen, Kenyena, and of course Robert Kirabo. Maybe just to find out from you, Mollen, you really had a good time. I am anticipating that you had a good time because you're glowing. Good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you, and of course I want to say good morning to our lovely family here. Good morning Uganda. Thank you for waking up with us. Well, it feels like a Monday for me, I'm telling you. But the weekend was really packed, I should say that. There was a lot going on. I did go for the motor race. It was in Garuga, and well, I didn't know I would enjoy it. It was actually like tapping into that, but it was really nice. Then, you know, a lot of other stuff that happened thereafter, and I can tell you I'm now ready for work.
Well, I will tell you for sure, there is also one person who did not really just spend his Easter time home. He actually did. For yesterday, he was telling me how he went for his motorbike sessions. Oh my, he was speaking with a lot of passion. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Philo, Mollen, and of course our viewers. Thank you so much for waking up with us this Tuesday, right from a fairly long holiday. That is from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I want to say yes, Ugandans, thank you for being Waweru, because I think it was on Easter I decided to try out, but I want to tell you all places were almost full to capacity, and I and the boys enjoyed cruising around town, different spots, no entering because it was packed. Yeah. And even some places they had to stop people from entering because they were full to capacity and could no longer accommodate people. And one thing that came to my mind, wow, either Ugandans save for these big days or they just have the money.
I'll tell you though, what I have seen, what is quite evident in Uganda is that they don't even wait for these big days. They'll get a random Friday. They are so unpredictable in some instances, but other instances, they will do the most as well. So Ugandans, we have said this over and over here on Good Morning Uganda. You cannot rely on a Ugandan. You cannot come out and collectively say, we are broke. That's not a thing that you can completely rely on. Yeah. So yes, Ugandans always do that. But well, while we were celebrating Easter, of course a lot was happening, but also we had quite some sad stories that did kick through. We had actually think about 2 accidents. There is one where we had a global bus overturned. Now lucky for us, there was no death that was registered, but we had about 3 people that were really injured, and they were rushed to the nearest clinic to make sure everything was done and to put them back in check. But also we did have an accident that also happened still on Masaka Road, where we had about 4 people who perished, and it was really sad, which by the way is going to be this topic will be shaping up our discussion this morning. But I just have one question for you, Robert and Mollen. Why is it, and this is not me saying that accidents don't happen on the usual, I mean we have accidents every single day. As Good Morning Uganda goes on, we'll be sharing some statistics with you, but during the days of these festivities, why do we see this quite a lot? Why does it happen? I fail to understand. Is it the excitement? Is it, I don't know. What do you think, Mollen?
Well, I think that, you know, with the excitement of holidays or even these festive days, I think people just forget about the instinct. And also we have to mention that there is drunk driving. These people are coming from somewhere out, and obviously they are tipsy. And if you find roads where they are not having kaunye, more restricting, you know, drivers, they are going to get on the road, and that is how we get into accidents. Now, especially for Mastiko Road, we've had, I think, a lot going on there. And even if you see the police reports that have come out, most of that, even the category of people have been around the youth. I'm telling you, drunk driving is one of those.
It has become a norm.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
really, really, really sad.
Yeah.
Robert, what do you actually think about this?
For the festive season specifically,
yes,
one, Mollen has mentioned it. When you look at one of the accidents that happened, they tell you the driver of the Primo came staggering, seemingly he could have been drunk. So that is a major factor, because people drink, they're excited. Then also there is reckless or driving in a rush. Someone is looking for money, and maybe they get money at the last moment, but they want to go and spend Easter with family.
Yes.
So they don't plan their journeys very well. Or something just comes up and they're like, but we go to the village, fuel, I'm giving this. Then they want to rush and they get there. So also over speeding is another factor, because when you plan your journey very well, you're not in a hurry. You drive at moderate speed. So over speeding these days, and sometimes inexperienced drivers. A Mollen could buy a car, drives from where she stays to UBC. Robert drives from where he stays to UBC, and they have done that maybe for a year or 6 months, some even 3 months after they have bought a car, and they want to go to their ancestral homes and prove, yes, I'm in town, I've bought this car. So they are not used to these roads, they have not driven for a long distance, and that inexperience, yet they want to prove a point, causes a problem, because it is very different for you driving about 6 miles,
yes,
and then you're going to drive maybe 200 miles. There will be fatigue, your concentration on the road. This path usually move through work home, you're used to it. You can't even close your eyes. I know there's a pothole there,
yes,
the humps, there's a ditch, so you have all this experience. Now what happens, you're going to a road, sometimes you've taken 2 years without going to the village, or even 3. Now
so you're not well versed with,
you don't have the experience, wrong route, you don't know the terrain very well. That's why actually many accidents happen on Mastiko Road. When you're driving on Mastiko Road, you find that the terrain and the tarmac differ. There's where it is very slippery, there's where it is really rough,
yes,
and then there are sharp corners. So here you are, you've taken 2 years, and boom, you're on the road, only to wake up when you're on Judgment Day.
I thought, by the way, with the introduction of the new licensing system,
yes,
that we would have experienced drivers on roads. I don't know what they are doing wrong, but I'm telling you, it's not helping, because we still have inexperienced drivers on the road, even those that have not gone through the real system of being trained, yes, and have acquired those licenses. I think some way people still get shortcuts to getting those driving license, and they get on the road, and this is what is contributing to much of that. Because
actually,
I thought that would be a system that would help us get the right people to be driving such roads.
Very interesting, and I like the way you've brought up Uganda. I don't think we can have a system with the challenges we have as a country to ensure that only experienced people, because there's a person who acquire a permit without even sitting behind anyway.
Yes.
For prestige, and she'll have a driving permit. Most of ladies, as she opening her wallet, you look at the ATMs, there's a driving permit. You tell her, well, I'm not feeling fine, can you help me? I don't know how to drive. That one got a permit. Second, when someone gets a permit, the process, even if they go through and they have not just sent somebody, but they go through this testing, many dodge. So you would see this person in a driving school, but when they go for testing, it's a different story. So a driving license in Uganda is not a justification that someone qualifies to be on the road. It is a document someone can present, but when you go into ability to do so, it is the opposite for many people. And even moving from one class to another, I know people got class A of the beginners, never drove, parked, he says, now let me go and renew and get another class, now to drive a bigger vehicle. At the end of the day, there's so much problems here.
But we're
Robert,
saying
would you
that's
actually-
the one channel that should have helped, because guess what? At the end of the day, you need that license. So
Yes.
if there was a right channel that says before you actually get it, you have to go through that process, you have to be tested, I think there would be no shortcut to it, because that's the only way you'll get the license. And I think a lot of people would be going for it. But because these guys have also not made it mandatory to test you fast, they just give out the license. That's why people are getting shortcuts. But can't we can't stand here and say Uganda has failed at that. It's just the people that are responsible. If they have given you a mandate as the license board, why don't you make it, a necessity for people to be tried before they acquire the license? I think that's where the challenge is.
Well,
but we can't do that.
I will actually say that it's not entirely the responsibility of the bodies that are supposed to do that, or the agencies or whatever, but even you as an individual, you can have a driving license and you start these conversations of, I cannot reverse back. I mean, you have to just have the whole entire package. So you should have the driving license and you should be worthy of the driving license. Well, it is Tuesday, and like I said, we came to the end of the Easter period and the Lent period, but we also cannot forget to actually mention that our Muslim brothers and sisters are still at it. They are still through their Ramadan, and I don't know whether they'll be able, I don't know if as a Christian, if you're able to invite your Muslim neighbors.
Oh, they should. They should.
If you were able, the favor has to be returned eventually. But if you did not invite
Christians
them,
rarely
I know
invite.
they have
It
the
is them
iftar
that do.
meal. So if you never invited your Muslim brother, your friend, your neighbor, my friends, I don't know whether you will have the same experience in May, but
They'll forgive us.
We are
Because
waiting.
they have made it a culture that for them they invite us. Contrary to what happens with Christians. Christians, most of the time this is family time. But for our brothers, the Muslims, there is a way that the likes of Nasa Mukasa cooks and invites everybody. So we hope.
at the end of the day, it's just inviting, being nice to
Because we are eating, they are fasting. So I invite you for lunch when you won't be eating.
You can always skip a meal for them because they have the iftar meal. That is what I understand. So you can always skip a meal for them, and when they break their fast for the day, that is the first meal they'll have. And I think it's just a good gesture. It's kindness in society. I mean, every single day we're singing, be kind, be nice to your neighbor. And I mean, you don't know what people are going through right now. So just a simple gesture.
Are you saying
of
even
kindness
if
like that.
we didn't invite them, they should be able to invite us? That's what you're saying.
I see Mollen and Robert trying to pave their way to being invited, but
And I'm prepared
for
to be
you that is
invited.
out
You guys, there is fun, but I'm waiting on that invitation. There are a lot of Muslims even here. Me, I'm waiting. I'll just be quiet and wait for my invitation. You better.
Oh, well, we are also going to take a look at some of the stories that made it to the news desk, of course, that is within the Ugandan boundaries, but also outside Uganda, outside Africa, what has been happening when it comes to the news. And that right there is where Robert will come in to give you some of the highlights.
And we'll start it off with what happened on a number of hangout places, recreation centers yesterday as Ugandans enjoyed Easter Monday. We'll start with Entebbe, where hundreds of Kampala revelers flocked recreation centers in Entebbe municipality, Wakiso district, to celebrate this year's Easter Monday. With nearly 2 years of suspension of such gatherings due to COVID-19 restrictions, many were excited to enjoy outing times more so at this time. Partying at recreation centers was the order of the day in Entebbe. After fully reopening of the economy by the president, following 2 years lockdown, life was now back to normal. This Easter Monday, hundreds stand up on different beaches, with many recovering from the past experience of no such outdoor hangouts. This time round, the young, the adult, and little ones were among people that were entertained at all places. Revelers decried the challenges of the current economy, but could not miss out on partying. Revelers filled Aero Beach, Sand White Beach, Resort, and Spinner Beach, among others. However, such hangouts in the past have always turned gloomy in the end, as many were reported dead or missing, and in line with these, police made sure that at exactly 5 p.m., all revelers left.
And in another story, State Minister for ICT, Communication and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, has said the Congolese who fled their country into Uganda and are not in the temporary holding camp that was designated will be traced and be put in the camp. The minister was visiting Bwera Primary Teachers College grounds where government settled the asylum seekers for DRC. State Minister for ICT, Communication and National Guidance, Godfrey Kabyanga, has visited Congolese refugees who entered Uganda, numbering over 3,000 people were registered, although less than 2,000 are in the camp. He says refugees staying with relatives will be traced. He said that the move is aimed at fighting wrong elements who might have crossed into Uganda. He commended different players who ensure that the health of those in the camp is maintained. The Bishop of the Diocese of Kasese, Kabira Kambale, also visited the camp and donated food items, requested all people in different corners to support the refugees.
And away from refugees, we look at cattle rustling in Karamoja, where over 800 animals have been recovered from Napak district around Lion Bridge area. The animals were raided overnight from J. Kral by suspected Bokora and Methelinico warriors. The operation was led by the 405 Brigade Commander in Nakapera Kotido district, Colonel Wilbur Foserunguma. The operation was conducted by ground and air support by the UPDF. Kotido leaders thank security for the quick response. Meanwhile, Kotido LC5 chairperson Paul Komol Lotei called upon Karamajongs to stop cattle raiding. Relatedly, joint security forces in Karamoja have recovered 2 guns which were stolen from Lopei police post, and 7 suspects were arrested, but the prime suspects are still on the run.
Away from that, besides congestion, schools in Butevo district in eastern Uganda have suffered hailstones and other disasters, some of which have affected classroom blocks. Now, this has increased the population of students with the full reopening of the economy after COVID-19 pandemic. Butevo District Woman MP Agnes Amide wants relevant government ministries and departments to the rescue of the affected education institutions. The school in question is Kakoro High. It is located along Mbale Nakaroki Kabwangasi Butevo Highway. Now, it suffered hailstones in 2021, which left the school incapacitated following the partial destruction of the classroom blocks. When we visited the school in March 2020, lessons were ongoing, but classes were congested to the bone marrow. The concern continues to be stuck in the memory of the woman member of parliament, Agnes Amide. She is worried of what may become of the rains that are back with similar related disasters. Unfortunately, the shortage of classes in secondary schools is worsened by the recent phasing out of the universal secondary education financial support to private schools. Now, this has made the challenge of congestion even worse than before. But what informed this decision is still the question.
And onto the international scene, taking a look at what's happening in Russia and, of course, Ukraine. Russia's Putin says Western sanctions have failed. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has said that the barrage of Western sanctions imposed against Russia over its invasion of neighboring Ukraine has failed. Putin said on Monday that the West expected to quickly upset the financial economic situation, provoke panic in the markets, the collapse of the banking system, and shortages in stores. He added that the strategy of the economic blitz has failed and instead led to a deterioration of the economy in the West. The Russian leader spoke in televised remarks during a video call with top economic officials. Western countries have imposed unprecedented sanctions on Russia's corporate and financial system since it sent troops into Ukraine on February 24th in what it calls a special military operation. Putin noted that Russia has withstood the unprecedented pressure, arguing that the ruble has strengthened and the country has recorded a historic high trade surplus of $50 billion in the first quarter of the year. Instead, he contended that the sanctions backfired against the United States and its European allies, speeding up inflation, and Putin acknowledged a sharp hike in consumer prices in Russia, saying they rose by 17.5% as of April on a year-to-year basis, and directing the government to index wages and other payments to alleviate the impact of inflation on incomes. Now, the U.S. judge throws out Biden mask mandate for planes and trains. A federal judge in Florida has struck down the Biden administration's mask mandate for airplanes and other forms of public transit, calling it unlawful. The U.S. District Judge Catherine Kimball Mizell said the National Public Health Agency had exceeded its legal powers in issuing the mandate. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, that is the CDC, last week extended the mandate until 3rd of May. The U.S. Transit Authority will no longer enforce mask wearing. Judge Mizell is based in Florida, but federal judges can issue rulings that block nationwide government policies. Her order on Monday effectively removes the masking requirement in all airports, trains, taxis, and transit hubs. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki called the decision disappointing and noted that the CDC still recommends that travelers cover their mouths and noses. The CDC did not immediately respond to a request for comment to Monday's ruling. Last week, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy said the mandate had been extended into May because of rising COVID-19 cases. The lawsuit was first brought in July 2021 by the conservative group Health Freedom Defense Fund and two Florida residents who said wearing masks increased their anxiety and panic attacks. And back to South Africa, well, they have deployed troops to help with flood relief efforts. Now, South Africa's armed forces have been deployed to help with relief efforts in the KwaZulu-Natal province, where more than 440 people died following torrential rains that triggered floods and mudslides last week. The South African National Defence Force said it had been instructed to activate 10,000 troops for tasks including mop-up work and transporting aid. The SANDF would also provide medical support and helicopters for rescue and reconnaissance missions. A search and rescue team member looks for bodies with the help of a dog following torrential rains that triggered floods and mudslides in Umbumbulu near Durban, South Africa, April 18, 2022. Now, the death toll stands at 443, but with each passing day, hopes diminish of finding more survivors. The floods have left thousands homeless, knocked out power and water services, and disrupted operations at one of Africa's busiest ports, Durban. And of course, there is extensive damage that has been registered. Swathes of eThekwini, the municipality that includes Durban, remain without power or water, and the province said it could take time before services are restored. The world, of course, is really scared and looking out for this to make sure everything is put back into place.
Hard story coming in from South Africa, but also in the weather and climate news, the world's most ambitious climate goal is essentially out of reach. Now, when the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is IPCC, the consortium of scientists responsible for summarizing the world's climate knowledge and releasing its roughly a decadal 33,000 plus pages installment, published its latest report on Monday, the findings were just as grim as usual. The report warned that greenhouse gas emissions are now higher than at any point in human history and continues to grow despite countries' weak efforts at diplomacy. Now, every year, nations spew 59 gigatons of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. For the world to have even a silver as a chance to meet its goals under the Paris Agreement, scientists warned emissions must peak no later than 2025 and then enter a precipitous steep decline. But hidden on page 25 of the summary of policymakers was an even grimmer note that even in the IPCC's most optimistic models, the chances of holding global warming to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial average is around 38%. Now, in short, that means that even if countries were to defy their history of delay and act heroically quickly to boost clean energy, the odds that is, it won't be enough. Now, for all intents and purposes, the 1.5 degree threshold has already passed, and we just don't know it yet.
Oh, well, that is quite sad, especially when it comes to the South African floods. But also there is something that I really took to notice, Robert and Mollen. The fact that the Biden mask mandate was thrown out, especially when it comes to wearing masks at airports and, you know, all these train stations. And I just thought about our Ugandans right here. We haven't waited for any official announcement. And I mean, we are already tired of the masks. I will tell you one thing that is really beating my understanding. You know, if you went somewhere and you're wearing a mask, you're going to be given eyes. Literally, people are going to be looking at you like you are in the wrong place or you're doing something wrong. I have experienced this and they are very judgmental. I am just wondering why we're doing this. We are not yet, we haven't gotten rid of COVID-19. At least we haven't had, the announcement from the Ministry of Health.
Very interesting. A friend asked me, what are you insinuating? And I was like, what?
It's just
church and I'm like, what? I'm like, what did you just say? Because, are you showing us that COVID is still around? But for me, one of the stories that caught my attention, we've always discussed refugees. Now these ones that entered and they are being sought for, they disappeared. Where are they? You have so many Congolese refugees here. So if anyone gets an opportunity to enter Uganda, there are so many relatives. Now Uganda is going to become like the USA, where we have people that sneak to enter into America, then have to look for forged papers to survive and all that.
We are a good country.
We are a good country. But of course, at the end of the day, this beautiful woman has to find a way, not because you're pretty and every guy is running after you. So you're all welcoming. At the end of the day, we shall be overwhelmed.
Yeah. Guys, have you noticed how, even when we were talking about this mask situation in the US, how the judge actually is the one that put across that decision and ruled even against what would have been State House decision? And to me, that is proof that, okay, these guys have a better justice system. Because I'm telling you, there is no judge here in Uganda, and I want to say that, my own opinion, who would make such a decision without consultation of State House or even, ministry. But this, this person went ahead and said, no, according to what you've presented in court, my ruling is no more masks. And even you can see that, there is no comment from State House. They can't believe, even CDC cannot believe that, but you have, the law there, and she was presented with facts, and that's what she ruled with. I wish we were all like that in terms of justice system.
Where that came out is like their health ministry saw it wise and it was passed on. But after, when you look at that judgment, she says they overstepped their mandate, that maybe they did not have that really authority to put that in line. And so she says, you're from Florida, but this can apply. A judge in one state, their ruling can also be a national ruling throughout other states. And to me, I think either we are rushing to say bye-bye COVID, I just pray and hope.
We can only hope that the world will definitely be okay after all these decisions that are being made by several countries. But also, in the poll question this morning, where we do expect to be part of the conversation, we ask you what should be done to cut down the accident rate in Uganda. What should be done to cut down the accident rate? In Uganda. The hashtag is UBCGMU. That is on Twitter, and feel free to send us an SMS text or even a WhatsApp message. The number is 0709 602 592. 0709 602 592. We're going in for the inspiration for this Tuesday rainy morning. When we get back, it will be the newsreel, where we'll be taking you through more details, especially when it comes to accidents on Ugandan roads. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Adonai, the great I am.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.
Communications Commission.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
9 minutes after 7 a.m. right here. And good morning, Uganda. Thank you for joining us once again. It is the newsreel. My name is Philomena Mastiko once again. And this morning, I am joined by Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, where we're going to be having a conversation about the atrocities that happen on our Ugandan roads, especially the highways. Now, before we get into that, our poll question that is running is what should be done to cut down the rate of accidents on Ugandan roads. Now, this is in light of what happened during the Easter period. On Easter Sunday, we did see an accident that happened on Mastiko Road in Katende, where 4 lives were actually lost. 2 were female and 2 were male. Of course, one of the females was a juvenile female, while the rest were all adults. Now, just to get into the statistics, Robert, quite something interesting that came to light. According to the police reports, at about 3,500 people have died on Ugandan roads every year. And according to this report, again, it covers the period of the last 5 months, rather last 5 years. But here's one thing they did highlight. The most people who are affected in these accidents are actually young men. And they went on to say that each of the last 5 years, young men have been the most affected. For instance, back in 2020, 80%, that was 2,495 people who died in road crashes were actually men. And more worryingly, 75% of those killed on the roads were under 45 years old. Now, this is really bringing a lot to light. If it's the young men who are highly affected, especially under the age of 45 years, what does that say? What are we not doing right? Where is the problem? Why are we having the young men, especially being the highly affected in these road accidents?
First, many times I don't agree with the term accident. For Uganda's case, whenever we talk about road accidents, because I want to believe that most of what we call road accidents in Uganda are actually not accidents. This is my definition.
Yes.
An accident is something that happens that you had no control over. You know? I don't want to say someone who is drunk and driving that was an accident. I don't want to call that. I would find another term, but I'm lacking a decent word to use. And if you ask me, I wouldn't say he perished in a road accident. If I was using my local language, I would say afudebusiru. You know? Because you're drunk, you're even finding it hard to walk, you're staggering. Where are my keys? Me, as long as I sit on the wheels, I'll get home. So you want me at my level of understanding. So that person died in an accident? And I call that an accident? He died of an act of stupidity. If I was writing reports. So most of what we call accidents in Uganda are actually not accident, because accidents should be an act of God. Say, Philo, you're driving to work on a moderate speed, then boom, because it's a rainy season. Maybe you're passing down, then an iron sheet comes from nowhere, then in the middle of the road, and maybe as you fidget, the car overturns. I would say that is an accident. But most of the causes of what we call accidents in Uganda are known. And I like sometimes when police in criminal cases, they have what they call malice at forethought. That this person committed this offense, but he had an intention to do so. So some of these accidents, people have intentions. Someone tells you, my car brakes. I don't know if I'll reach where I'm going. I'm going to the village. This car doesn't brake very well. Anyway, I'll go.
They leave, their homes when they know what's happening.
So you already have an intention to commit a crime, and then you hear he knocked people on a border motorcycle who are crossing by. So we must first redefine that, and when we redefine that, even have tougher punishments. But when you talk about this age group below 40 men, first and foremost, you must understand that usually if you look at the people that drive in Uganda, the big percentage are male. That is true. One. Due to a number of issues that we don't want to go into now. Then second, these are people under 40, because this is the aggressive age. they're energetic, you know, they have attained that middle class, and many of them, the first opportunity they get is to buy a car.
Yes.
Sometimes when they now clock 50, some have realized that maybe this car is not a necessity. I can
deal without it.
I can deal without it.
Yes.
They have maybe ended running students to, they no longer have this nursery going, so now maybe their children can take themselves to school. So a car is no longer that much of a necessity. But why in these accidents, that this is the age also you'll find 40 above, if someone is driving, now they're mindful and sensitive and very conscious about their lives. If my dad chooses to drive, you find that he's sensible.
Yes.
You know, he knows when you, from 40, one time someone said life begins at 45. From 40 above, people begin seeing things differently. That's when they begin looking at their deity, prioritizing their lives, saying no to certain things. That is when you'll find a person will tell you, I will not drive this car because it's in poor mechanical condition, yes. And they fear. Below 40, there is so much of excitement. That is when a person will tell you, don't overspeed. Now they have responsible families.
Yes.
If he's a man, maybe now he has 4 children. Yeah. So above 40, there is that level of being mindful and conscious. Yet below 40, sometimes that is not there. That is why you find that
living life as it is. If you're going to go on a road trip, you really don't.
You think, yeah, if an old man is going to go on the road, he can even tell you, you know, it has rained, go slow. You know, that is even when much of what they're chasing above 40 has reduced. Maybe you're no longer rushing to work. Either now you've begun, you have your side gigs, you have all this. So that is why we have this age. But very unfortunate that this is the most useful age of any nation.
Because people are productive,
From
they are at the peak.
To 40, that is the most useful age for any nation. And for us in Uganda, I have a saying, meaning at that age is when a person is hustling, tussling, so that they have a safer landing.
Yes.
When they finally retire. So if you're losing about 3,000 people annually every year, and a big percentage of these is men under 40, then this is a big problem that we need to address, not just talk about, but address, because we are losing potential people, the future of this country.
Well, I will also just maybe add on that, because experts have come out to say that most of the causes of these crashes on Ugandan roads are actually behavioral. All right, you know, we have road users who speak on phone. You will be in a traffic jam even when the cars are in motion. People are on phone. People who are drunk driving. You did talk about that. You know, fatigued, but you still feel the need to go wherever you are going because you have to be there. So indeed, most of them are behavioral. But I'll tell you one thing, Robert, though. There is also an argument between drivers and police. Now, police have the argument that these accidents happen because of human error. But I've also had, you know, drivers say, you know, the roads are narrow. How are we supposed to navigate between this? I mean, these things happen. What would your take be on this? Because I still refuse to believe that even when the road is narrow, you can still find a way. I mean, it's not the best, but you can still find a way around it. You can navigate it. So that argument has been back and forth, but still, at the end of the day, we are still losing people, and it's affecting families, individuals, even the economy. What do you have to say about that?
There are a number of causes of road accidents in Uganda, but I want to look at issues of roads. Like you've said, we must agree that sometimes our roads are not at their best. We have narrow roads, which is very true, and these in one or the other attribute or contribute to accidents. We have poor road designs. That you look at this very, very sharp corner, and maybe if just a few pennies were spent, that corner would be avoided. I remember along Masaka Road, I think around Wudo, there was a very, very sharp corner, and year in, year out, lives were being lost at that particular corner. And also due to African tradition, some had even come up and began issues. There is a ghost there. When you reach there, you see an old woman crossing, all those nonsensical beliefs. But it was just that corner. Now, when government began working on that road, the people that were handling this ensured that that sharp, very hard corner was removed.
Because it was hard for people to negotiate it?
They changed the road design And now I don't know where that Musambwa went. Because now actually, we are not having those problems again. So road design also has to be looked into regarding our roads. And yes, when you travel outside Uganda to some countries, if you compare how wide their roads are,
Yes.
you know, and you come back home, you still believe that yes, this is a problem. There are some roads we have that are supposed to be one way.
Yes.
Strictly because of the size. But then there are two ways. So that is something. And if you look at new roads being constructed, you find that the size is different from the old ones that were there. Now the architectural designs change. It becomes more bigger because they have noticed that problem. And we must also understand that some of our roads, much as they have been maintained, they were designed, they were constructed when we had very few cars in this country. So what the traffic on these roads was very minimal. Today, these roads are having times 100 of what they were planned to accommodate.
Yes.
in terms of traffic that they are taking, but also capacity. So where maybe one car would pass and the other is in about a quarter a mile, today they are accommodating so many roads. So I agree. And when you move on some of the roads, even the surface, I want to tell you, drive on Ugandan roads, the tarmac is not uniform.
Yes.
Even the wheels when you're driving, if you're in a motorcycle or you're in a car, you would feel it. That's why you pass and you feel the terrain is a bit slippery.
Yes.
Masaka Road has that particular point. There is some stretch that I noticed. It's very slippery, and they will even tell you go slow. Either whatever they used here on the surface, go slow. Then where you feel it is rough. So yes, still there are factors we have to address. First, what do we put on our roads? Is it what is internationally recommendable?
Yes.
Internationally, or is it that you're improvising? You know, sometimes how do we manage? You know, there's always a budget for road maintenance, but you find that people are perishing because of dishes. One time we even had, I think it was a deputy speaker who perished because it is believed there was a ditch, a huge ditch. Someone is dodging, another one is coming, and it's head on.
Yes.
Because you cannot risk your car landing this mini lake when you're watching. So as you're dodging, Robert is coming very fast. He thinks you're in your lane, but you suddenly divert and leave your lane, and there is good.
Well, looking at the interventions, what has been done by government, individuals, and all that, do I feel like probably there is something still lacking. Now, there is one specific incident I want to tell you, Robert. Not so long ago, we had, because there is a continuous blame game on the Ugandan roads. You're the one who caused this. You know, you did this. And we have seen these scuffles, especially between border people, border riders, and maybe private car owners, or even this public transportation, the taxis. Not so long ago, we saw borders being asked to actually go and get themselves checked if they are mentally okay. Now, an intervention like this, how is it going to be able to, to deliver the point home, or to try to make sure that we cut down on the accident rates? Because, I mean, this was one of the main things. We have seen border. It's true, some border men can really be, they cause a lot of ruckus on the Ugandan roads. We have seen it on several incidences. But, I mean, an intervention like this, how does it even come in handy? Is it practical?
Why I would support that, however, I don't know in terms of rights.
Yes.
Do they disclose the report of what has indicated? Is because a number of accidents in our country that happen is because people are not sober. And when you look at our brothers, the border guys, with all respect,
yes,
because these are responsible people, they have families, they educate their children, though also there are many that are very irresponsible. Now, one of the things that dominated this industry is drug abuse and use of substances. Go to a number of border stages. You'll find that these people day in, day out are taking warrant. A person is driving, is riding, and he has this small bottle.
Yes.
Many of these people, you know, card, mairunji. Many of them are like goats. Chewing. Yet that compromises your reasoning. It is one of our drug. Many of them are taking marijuana and jaga, you know. And all these, that is why you see a border man will just ride in a very reckless manner, and it is you to move away to save this little idiot. You get it? So, and remember that carrying lives, Philomena, you may not know that this person is under the influence of drugs, but over a time, if you go to Butabika, our mental hospital we have, they'll tell you that drugs reach a time and they compromise and your reasoning and everything. Some even completely develop mental illness.
Yes.
So to me, I feel that yes, this test is worth it, because if it will eliminate people who are next to almost now undressing and throwing stones from our roads, because most of the accidents that happen, I've come to understand, the accident causer sometimes survives. This bus driver will jump out. People will die, but police will tell you are looking for the driver.
Yes.
They're looking for the taxi driver. This drunkard person, for you trying to save him, your car will overturn.
Yes.
The man will go without even knowing that someone behind him has overturned. This border guy you're trying to save, who's not in proper state, for you you're going to crash into another car, for him you will not even noticing he has caused an accident. So many times they will cause accidents, yet they will not be the victims. So apart from saving them, the machine to detect and tell you that, brother, you're supposed to be in rehab.
Yes.
Not on the road driving. There we are saving this man's life. But also you're saving many Ugandans you don't know. On these highways, we've seen lives lost, and they'll tell you he was trying to save a border rider who just bumped into the road and he lost control of the taxi and 14 people perished. So I'm in for that.
Well, the poll question is running on our Twitter. What can be done to cut down the accident rates on Ugandan roads? What can be done to cut down the accident rates in Uganda? Well, as we, try to conclude, let's talk about the road crash investigation problem that is actually believed to be lacking in Uganda. I mean, we have seen a number of accidents. Yes, a few times we've had the police come out and make a statement, but also it is believed that some of the investigations that are done for these, especially when these accidents occur, are not satisfactory. Probably most of them won't explain why this happened. Maybe it was road design like you talked about earlier, or maybe it's because the person was fatigued, or it was a behavioral cause. In most cases, actually, police looks at the criminal aspect of the crash, of the accident. So are we still, could this be still a major problem? Because if you don't identify the problem, I mean, how are you going to inform people? How will the public be aware that the cause of this specific accident could be the same cause that you probably get an accident the next time you're on the road? So is our, especially when it comes to the investigations into these road crashes, is it still lacking? Can we do something about it?
First, our police has issues with investigation. That is one. They try, sometimes they come up with reports, but you see, even if you have a number of reports and you don't take the necessary action, Uganda, there are things we just look at. I've not given priority. Today we are talking of accidents. 3,000 people perishing every year. Majority of these, 80% of these, they being young men below the age of 40. That is something that would be on the floor of Parliament until we are seeing tough laws, until we are seeing action taken. We wait maybe for a VIP to perish, then to make headlines, it will go on the floor of Parliament.
Yes.
One member of Parliament perishes, then there, we are going to come up with a law, we are going to do this, we are going to do that. So, police, even when they have challenges with the investigation, the few reports they have come up with, what action has been done? And not forgetting the element of corruption. We have buses overturning in this country almost every year. Yes. I'm not a prophet of doom, but expect 2-5 buses. Sometimes we have companies we know, they are habitual. For them, it will happen. I don't want to mention these companies, that every year 1 or 2 buses will overturn, lives will be lost. But you see, these companies will know that if you keep so much on it, it taints the image of the company. So accidents, the element of corruption, is one of the things we cannot leave without discussing. Then second, and these people may think it is very minimal, but traffic officers will tell you it is one thing that is hindering them. Gambon. You know, I'm driving, you stop me, I don't waste time. Yes, Afande, how are you? I'm fine. Hey, so you've stopped me, you don't have tires, you don't have this. Okay, Afande, just a minute, talk to this one. Yes, hello. You leave him to go. That, away from Chintu Chidogo, where I come out and I'm like, Afande, I know I'm in a mistake, let me not waste your time. Please, breakfast. Oh, please lunch. You know these things, Afande, we are all not doing well. What? Those corruption, that issue, rank and file being a problem, disrespectful of police officers, those are some of other issues that sometimes they could be minor, but they're also a problem in our country.
Well, it's your responsibility as a road user to make sure that you play a part and make sure you use the road the way it's supposed to be used, and I mean, do what is all necessary, because at the end of the day, you're affecting yourself. You could die, you could kill other people. I mean, everybody's on a losing side. Now, it is definitely up to you to make sure you avoid all this. Well, we'll be getting into the press review to see what made it to the headlines in the Daily Monitor, the Daily Nation, and of course the New Vision on this Tuesday morning. Later on, we'll be taking a look at what is happening on the roads. Tuesday, it's quite a busy day, I presume, since everybody is returning to work and the public holiday is officially over. And later on, Mollen will be here with more climate updates and the weather forecast. How does it look like today? Good morning, Uganda. We'll return shortly.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win! Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Pick of the day on UBC. Brought to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Jingati drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome to the news review this morning, taking a look at what is happening in our papers. That is the Daily Monitor, the New Vision, and of course the Daily Nation. Starting off with the Daily Monitor on this 19th of April 2022. Police warn of new crime wave, and they're asking you to watch out for criminals. That is law enforcement agencies in corroboration of findings in our analysis of police crime data since 2005, indicating crime rates in the country dramatically rise each year between April and July. And of course, in other stories, schools hike fees over high prices, and Bank of Uganda Governor peak long overdue, says the experts, and Uganda discharges last COVID-19 patients. And still in other stories, 8 people killed during Esther Fete, and Cancer Institute taps US experts. All that in the Daily Monitor today. And still on the second page, the detailed story of Cancer Institute bringing in 2 experts to train the Ugandan doctors over here. And today in history, Uganda participates in Osaka Trade Fair. And again, also in history, US revolution begins at a Battle of Lexington. Well, get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor this Tuesday to catch all these stories and more.
This morning, we'll lead it off with how 1,000 small businesses will benefit in the project. We're talking about Germany gives shillings 8.5 billion to small businesses. Well, that is interesting and good news to small businesses here. More on that story is on page 6 of the New Vision. Now, also a big picture right there as the Easter Marathon excites a pack. Well, they show you really a picture of Akelo Uchen participating in a 100-meter race. Well, this was a good one. Look at that old woman right there, taking part into that race for Easter Marathon. That's a good one. But also in the New Vision for this morning, government set to buy age detector. Wow. There is a 2 billion budget set out to do that, and details on that story are on page 5 of the New Vision for this morning. Her vision, the must-dos for women planning to conceive. That's interesting right there. If you are planning, there is what you must do on page 35 and 34 of the New Vision for this morning. Now, 83-year-old gets firstborn baby. Well, and that is also making a good story right there. Details on page 29 of the New Vision for this morning. Now, over 300 arrested in police UPDF operations in Wakiso. That is also right there on page 4 of the New Vision for this morning. Get yourself a copy and you'll be getting much more of those detailed stories.
Well, in the Daily Monitor Sports AFCON 2023 cranes set for anyone. Now, we did have AFCON that happened this it was really crazy, but very, very interesting. And well, you don't want to miss out on that. And Villa legends unite to whip up the players. And still onto the second page of the sports, Rwanga's return lights up Simba's continental push, and baby cranes hit pass mark at Bathurst Cup. And also 6 teenagers qualify for the under-20 worlds. Well, that is the UAF 4th national trials happening. Well, all that in Daily Monitor Sports this morning.
And in the New Vision Sports, we look at the women's games overall winners, and now they give you details of what happened. Makerere University football leading with Bishop Stewart, netball Busitema, rugby Makerere, chess Makerere, and many more of that. They also give you a picture of Busitema University players celebrating their overall runner-up trophy after the games at Busitema. But also the Queens right there, Makerere University chess team with their trophies, and also celebrating after that mega win right there in the women's games overall winners. Now SC Villa will not all that be safe, and they're talking about their desperation to improve the declining fortunes as they face Mbara City at the Fufa Technical Center in Njeru. Well, that's also right there in the New Vision Sport for you to explore much more on that story. But they also give you picture of the week with Bishop Stewart University Rita beating Kumi University Christian Appeal during the final of the Federation of East Africa University Sports Women Games. That was also at Busitema University. Much more of the sports highlights also as Uganda takes first leg lead in the motor race that was there, the first round in Garuga. They are showing you all the points, and also a picture of Sebuguzi right there looking forward in the Pearl of Africa rally during the first week of May.
Well, thank you so much, Mollen, for those reviews from the New Vision. But also just to remind you of the poll question that is running. Definitely, I'll be getting into your feedback just a few minutes from now. But also taking a look at what happened in the Daily Nation. What are they telling us? Decision 2022. Do they stand a DP chance? Well, the ladies are out there battling it. We have Anna Waiguru and Martha Karua trying to battle it out. Who is going to take this seat? And it's still in politics. Raila asks Nyanza to vote 6-piece. And also teachers have come out to reveal extent of moral rot in schools. This really would be very interesting for you to read. And Healthy Nation, of course, tailing off science to rescue as Kenya is trying to battle out very many other issues. Make sure you grab yourself the Daily Nation to see what's happening in our neighbors' country over there. And you can get it online or grab it by the streets and buy it out and inform yourself. Getting back to the poll question this morning, we did ask what can be done to cut down the accident rates in Uganda. What should be done to cut down the accident rate in Uganda? The hashtag is UBCGMU. WhatsApp number 0709 602 the same number you can use to send us an SMS. Text will be, of course, reading it out as Uganda. Good Morning Uganda still goes on. But taking you to the roads this morning, what is expected? Listen, there is a combination of the rain that we are looking at right now, and Tuesday, the official Monday, like I did say at the beginning of the show. Well, very many people are expected to be in town, or surprisingly, they may not be in town. So if you're coming in from the areas of Setawa, I want to focus Namamve, Chireka, where you get it. Well, it's not really looking so rosy, but again, it's nothing for you to really be worried about. It doesn't hurt to get your information in place. Coming in from Seta over here, it's very, very actually, you can navigate through it because it's quite free. But on that road, you need to be expectant of quite some heavy traffic buildups as you go by, as you're trying to access Boyogere, as you're going all the way till Chireka. Now the orange spots show that, and you can see they have been planted in several parts of this road. You will go through Namamve Forest Reserve as you of course access Boyogere. Boyogere, there is quite some traffic buildup over there, and definitely it shows you, so you don't have to limit yourself to that main road, because there are very many other routes you could actually use, especially when you have made it to Boyogere. This red spot over here shows the traffic buildup is intense, and as you go further, well, as you can see at the junction here, the traffic is very crazy because we have cars coming in from Chobe Road over here, and we also have cars that are trying to make their way around the Nambole to make Nambole Stadium to make sure they access Chireka. So you need to be aware of this traffic buildup as you go by. And still, if you decide to use the main route all the way, still there is some traffic buildup as you go further trying to access Chireka. Chireka is quite a busy town every single day, and definitely that is portrayed by these red stretches over here. It's something you need to be very careful about. If you have an alternative, it could be ideal that you use that this morning. And we also have some traffic buildups on the roads that are bringing in cars to the main road. Of course, people coming in from Namgongo, people coming in from this other road. As you can see, the traffic buildup is clear over there, quite causing some chaotic situation here at the Chireka taxi stage. So yes, if you're coming from that area, definitely you need to be very careful. And as you're also going around Chireka, the roundabout, there is quite again some traffic over here. So even if you're going to use a shortcut, you should be very informed about that, so that you can make plans accordingly and try to sort your way out as you get to city center. But also reports coming in that there's an accident on Ginger Road over there, so you need to be very, very careful. Like we said, we're talking about accidents the last couple of days, and even now it's still a bit crazy over there. Now this route still takes you all the way, you go through Banda, and from Banda, of course, Nakawa is also not really looking rosy this morning. As you can see, the traffic update, rather the traffic buildup is crazy over here. And even at the junction there, you need to be very, very careful, because we have cars coming in from Tinda Road, we have cars coming in from Nakawa Ginger Road trying to join the main road. So yes, make your plans accordingly. And of course, as you try to access the city center, it's not looking nice. Over here, there is a lot of reds and maroons. The stretch is quite very, very long. And of course, from Ginger Police Station here, you need to be aware. By now, you should have seen it if you're already in Kampala city center. Like I told you, as you get closer to the city center, the more intense the traffic. Now, cars coming in from Wampeo Avenue also, you need to be very, very wary of what is happening over there, because the traffic is also very, very intense and very thick, and the situation doesn't change as you're accessing the city center. As you can see, all these areas around Mukwano, all these areas around Access Road, it's very, very heavy. But the traffic was actually expected, like I told you, given the combination of rain and also today being a Tuesday, people are trying to resume work and trying to get back to the city center. So yes, make plans accordingly to make sure you beat the time. I hope you can do that. Well, that's it from our traffic updates this morning, but now I will leave you to Mollen to give us more when it comes to the climate and the weather forecast. Mollen, I see the rains. We did see an announcement from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority. I think it was about yesterday or 2 days ago, where they did warn that in the next 7 days it's going to be serious rain, and they passed out a warning to people who are in hilly areas and also in the low areas. Floods may happen, mudslides may happen. What is happening?
Well, I think we're seeing a situation where rains are starting to pick up for most areas, and also following the fact that we've had, a prolonged dry spell, it brings in the fact that even the rains that will be coming in will be more stormy, which is why the Uganda National Meteorological Authority had to issue that alert to, warn people about what is to come. Because when you're looking at such events, then you have likelihood of mudslides, you have likelihood of flooding, and what we know is that at least flooding will be more rampant in areas that are low-lying, because the movement of the rainwaters there will be small, and which is why such areas are prone to flooding. But also the mudslides, Philomena, we've seen a lot of areas in Uganda that are prone to that. The Bududa, Kasese, usually the areas that are close to mountains. And it poses a question of why people do not move away from such areas. I don't think they have to wait for government directive, but as an individual, if you see that this is harm's way, why don't people move away? It's still a question that I don't know.
Well, only and only God can answer that. But I hope you actually heed to the directives if they've been passed on by government, because they're trying to save lives, they're trying to save yourself. That's it from our traffic updates. I am Philomena Mastiko. I leave you to Mollen, and right now, have a great Tuesday morning.
Well, we'll take it off from the alert that was given through by UNMA and showing that in the next couple of days we could be having much more of those rains. Well, we did start off with quite a bit of showers here in Kampala, parts of Wakiso as well. That system is still right there, but we'll also be diving into the forecast later on. We still also saw this morning in the international news about South African floods still making headlines, and so far the death toll rising up to 440 people. And we also did get information that there is still rescue on the ground. The military has also come in to make sure that they, get more survivors, or even people who have died from the landslides over there. And those are all extremes of rainfall that started over, especially KwaZulu-Natal. South Africa is still battling that. But also adding to that, we also did see a huge storm beating off Philippines, and that was Tropical Storm Maggie, that also led to destruction of a lot of property, and of course people dying. Were by 14th, I think that was when rescue team started analyzing the situation. We already had 25 people reported dead from the tropical storm. Now the aftermath of that storm is still there. The rescue is still on ground to assess what can be done to make sure that people can regain their homes in that area. But also Philippines has been facing a lot of extreme weather events, even for this year alone. And it is, I could put it in the same category as Madagascar. This is one area in Africa that has faced, clearly the reality of climate change, being hit by a lot of tropical storms, a lot of tropical cyclones, at least 5 within 3 months. That is something that we had not seen before. And it worries me, because in the morning we're also looking at, we're reading a story about the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They're warning the world and saying, look, we are going away from the goal that was targeted in 2015, and at this point we might never achieve 1.5 degrees Celsius. Now that is a target that was put there so that if we limit temperatures rising to 1.5, then we can reduce on most of these extreme weather events, and have a safer place where we're not talking about extreme weather events, floods and droughts all the time. But it looks like that is no longer in reach, and what we can hope for is at least well below 2 degrees centigrade. That could be 1.7 or something. However, still there are no efforts to make sure that we keep it well below 2 degrees centigrade. And I will tell you one thing, the Russia-Ukraine war actually did fuel into that, because we saw countries withdrawing from the use of natural gas, which was clean energy coming from Russia. And now also this morning I was reading a story from the USA. The Biden administration is saying they want to support, they want to fuel in more money to climate action, but at the same time, they're the same guys saying, okay, we now have to do more drilling for oil and gas, and that is fossil fuels, and they're looking at more going to non-renewable energy. So I don't see that goal really being achieved by 2025. So I don't know why people or governments keep ignoring the scientists. This is a body that was put across, and actually every government for 197 countries that is party to this convention, they do know that they're supposed to follow what the IPCC brings out. But at the same time, when such warning comes out, they ignore. And that is how we're getting in trouble. That's how we're reading flooding, death of people, destruction of property every day, every now and then. But well, This is a message that we're still going to bring across until maybe we see that planet Earth, which is planet A, we don't have planet B, is actually safe. But this morning we'll also go ahead and take a look into the forecast for this morning, and that is coming in from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Take a look at where we do expect the rains and of course the numbers in terms of temperatures. But I can tell you one thing, it is already feeling chilly across Kampala and also most areas around Lake Victoria. It looks like it could also be a cold day across most areas within the country, but we'll be seeing more of those details in the forecast. But also we have seen a pickup of wet weather conditions, especially for the southern sector. The Lake Victoria Basin has been doing well in terms of wet weather conditions, but we also did see a pickup across eastern Uganda, especially the lower side of eastern Uganda across Mount Elgon Highlands. We did see Mbale also picking up in terms of wet weather conditions, so we do expect that trend to continue. But for this morning's forecast, we'll start it off with southwestern Uganda, where we do have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi, Rubirizi. We are forecasting isolated showers, starting off with a chilly 23 degrees centigrade. We do expect those rains to continue into the afternoon. Now looking at Mount Elgon Highlands, we do have Mbale, Bududa, Boko and Sironko forecasting light showers over there, and also starting off with a cold 24 degrees centigrade. We might see those rains clear up in the afternoon. Eastern parts of Lake Victoria, we do have Tororo, Busia, Iganga and Jinja. We started off with a little bit of cloudy conditions over there, but that will be developing into rains later as the morning progresses, starting off with a chilly 24, and that might continue into the afternoon. Looking at eastern Uganda, Soroti, Katakwi, Moria, well, we're starting to pick up in terms of wet weather conditions. We have rains in the forecast for this morning with a pleasant 26 right there forecast for this morning, and also that system might continue as we head into the afternoon. Across the eastern part of Central, we have Ruwero, Wobblen, Zibururi, Nakaseke. We do have Nakasongola in that category as well, starting off with a cool 23, and also forecasting those rains already headed your way for this morning, and that system will also continue into the afternoon. Across the central part of northern Uganda, Kitgum, Padel, Gulu and Adjumani, we are forecasting isolated showers. Those will be starting off with a cool 24 degrees centigrade. It looks like it's quite promising for that area, but those will be lasting for the morning. We do expect a clearing trend later as the evening progresses. Now back at the central part of Lake Victoria, where we have the nation's capital Kampala, Entebbe, Wakiso and Mukono, we're forecasting those light showers. We did start off with most of those, but it looks like that system is still around and we're still bringing those rains, starting off with a chilly 23 degrees centigrade. Well, that is it in terms of weather forecast. You do know the numbers are really down for this morning, so you might want to keep that sweater with you and also, have that warm jacket. The rains are still there and continuing, and we could be looking at more pickup, especially across the western stretch of the country. Those areas starting to pick up, especially in terms of, scattered showers. So this is when we tell people, if you have any loose objects around your home, the houses that are not yet reinforced, this is the time to do it, because we do expect most of these rains to be accompanied with stormy weather, and that could help if you're securing even plantations. There is this culture in most people do in plantations, they secure the banana plantations with trees. I think this is the time to do it, because we could be looking at more stormy weather coming through as most of these rains do pick up. Well, I want to leave you at that for this morning. My name is Mollen, Kenyena, and later on we'll be having Robert taking you through a Good Morning Uganda agenda, and thereafter we'll also be having more of the highlights from the sports arena. I want to wish you a wonderful morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win! Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Total Energies has undertaken a number of initiatives aimed at ensuring that Ugandan entities and citizens are adequately equipped to participate in the oil and gas sector.
Yeah, we do manufacture and supply personal protective equipment. We supply beyond Total Energies. We supply their subcontractors. Yeah, we have seen our company transform from a trading company to a manufacturing entity. We are able to set up some of these facilities that we are enjoying right now. And these facilities also are supporting other sub-sectors. So they have no idea what oil and gas is, but the items they are using are a result of oil and gas. Overall, the industry, manufacturers, suppliers, traders will all enjoy.
Total Energies EP Uganda is committed to the empowerment of Ugandans to take an active part in the overall development of the oil project in Uganda.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
We also have enough air to...
It is intellectually engaging.
And you can only become a leader when there are problems.
I like that.
The same applies to Rwanda, Burundi. So what are we federating?
Whether rats from another country can be, somebody must be there to hold everybody accountable.
But at the moment, we would rather deal with what we have, make it right.
First of all, we as elites of Uganda, we have made Museveni the issue. I can tell him Museveni is not the problem of Uganda. The problems of Uganda are much deeper. We can change the next 20 presidents and we'll still be this roundabout.
Deeply incisive.
The different political forces that we have in the country, in the country, we don't seem to really have achieved that minimum political consensus over certain things.
Authentically symbolic and insightful. Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odongto. All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check under the crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply. Pepsi, for the love of it.
Need to send money to a loved one but you don't have enough on your phone? Have you run out of fuel but you don't have enough money? Do you want to pay for yaka or water but have insufficient funds? Or do you want to shop but you don't have enough money? Don't worry, get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
A lovely morning to you once again, and thank you so much for keeping it with us this cold morning, Tuesday, when many of you are just from that long Easter holiday. Well, once again, I'm Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda at exactly 9 minutes past the top of the hour, which is 8. Today, we are going to be discussing a very serious issue, and you all know that Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, one of our sources of earnings is agriculture, and anything that tampers with agriculture sets a problem to the nation, more so creates scarcity of food. Now, recently, the country was invaded by the African armyworm. So far, a number of families have been affected, and when I was looking at records as of last week, about 140 gardens were affected, and if you are to look at the total land affected by this worm, is about 20 square miles have already been affected. 22 or 23 square miles have already been affected by this worm now. Sorghum, millet, and maize have been destroyed in about 38 districts in our country. Joining me on set to discuss this is the Commissioner, that is the Minister of Agriculture, in charge of crop protection, and that is Stephen Tibejuka Biantwale. Commissioner, you're most welcome to our studios this morning.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kirabo. Thank you for the opportunity. Good morning, viewers. Yes, please.
And now, Commissioner, you come at a time when, first and foremost, many Ugandans are scared, more so those in agriculture. Many are wondering, what should we do? What is the way forward? But to begin with, let's better understand. At first, we had the Ame fallworm, if I'm right. Now we hear.
Right.
Okay, we had the fall armyworm.
Yes.
Yeah, fall armyworm.
Yes.
Now we have the African armyworm.
Yes.
All these are causing problems to our country, most of those in the agricultural sector. Help us understand, what are these?
Okay, thanks very much, Mr. Kirabo. Once again, good morning, viewers. I am here to explain the prevailing situation in relation to the crop pest we have been experiencing since March 2020. Mr. Kirabo and the viewers, the current wave of invasion we are experiencing is of a pest called the African armyworm. This African armyworm is a relative of the other 4 armyworm. They both belong to the same group of moths. We call them moths, these flying insects that have scales. And it is the larval stages of these moths that cause damage to the crops. Now, this particular one, the African armyworm, is a pest of mainly cereals, what we call cereals, those who are interested in science, what we call the Gramine family, those that look like maize, like sorghum, and it is also, again, a pest of pastures. It does not eat the broad-leaved plants. It mainly eats those we call the those the cereal family and pastures in that family. So this African armyworm is a pest of the tropics, especially in Africa, and we have been having it in Kenya and Tanzania as an endemic pest. For us as a country, Uganda, we are an invasion country. This pest is a migratory pest, and being migratory, it moves from place to place when the conditions are favorable. So for this period, when we got the first invasion, Kenya and Tanzania had been experiencing the invasion, but for us, I think the moths started flying in because of the climatic change. If you appreciate, around March, in Uganda, we always have rains.
Yes.
But for this period, we have been experiencing some little rain, then it is off for about 2 weeks, then we get other winds, they bring in some slight rain, then it disappears. So through this wave of rain, no rain, and the movement of winds and the favorable condition, we highly suspect that some of these moths flew in, riding on the winds, and came and landed in our country. If you look at how the pattern, how this wave came in, you will find that first reports were reported in Ruwero and also Busia and Tororo. What does this tell us? When you look at Ruwero, it is a central place. Could it have been an invasion riding on winds through Lake Victoria and landed in the central region? When you look at Busia, Tororo, Bukedea and those areas in the east, could it have been a ride on the winds from Kenya and these moths landed? So when they come and land, the first thing, you know, nature always guides that there must be survival for the next generation. So most of these that migrate are mainly female moths. And even if you use the trap and trapped, it is mainly these, you catch the male moths, but this means the female moths are also moving with them in order to create the next generation. So the moment they land, you find the females are already ready to lay eggs, and on laying eggs, the eggs hatch, and when they immediately hatch, they produce what we call the larva. And the larva, these are the caterpillars that now must feed.
Which is the destructive stage.
Which is the most destructive stage of this moth. So currently, as we report, as you have indicated, it's a big wave. They move quite fast. They land, lay eggs, move, land, lay eggs. Those that are reaching their senescence, the time of dying, they die off. These they have laid fast, go through the life cycle. Within 25 days, new moths come up. So they complete the life cycle and continue if the conditions remain favorable. So this African armyworm we are experiencing is due to climatic change. So if we had received the right rains from the start as we have been having, the situation would be totally different.
Now, Commissioner, you're in charge of crop protection
at
the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry,
Animal
Industry and Fisheries.
Yes,
now, let's understand this very well. You've talked about how they migrated and what they do, so we understand the cycle.
Yes, please.
But now it comes back to the farmers.
Yes.
First, what should the farmers do? One was telling me we are picking eggs, and I was like, are they that very easy to see?
Yes, yes, the eggs are very easy to see.
The other shocked me when I visited one of the farmers that are so much into agriculture.
Yes.
I found this man around his garden. He had dug like a trench.
Yes.
And I looked and I was like, no, I'm now fighting them. Which science is this?
No, it is what we call basic science. Number one, if you stop the eggs from hatching, you will have cut off the caterpillars feeding. You will have cut off the life cycle the breeding cycle. So what we advise is that always when farmers have planted crops, if you have your pastures for livestock, the first principle is to always do what we call scouting. You always visit your garden, you look at what is happening, you assess, is there anything strange that has happened to my garden? And we have advised our farmers that the moment you see these eggs that you have not been observing, just scrape them off and put them in a small container, because you will be moving from plant to plant, plant to plant, even randomly. So when you scrape off the eggs and you put it in a container, you put the eggs in a container, you can go and destroy them. That means you will have stopped the caterpillars from hatching and eating your crop.
Because most for them, they fly off.
No, the eggs hatch into the larvae, which are the caterpillars that feed on the crops. Now, when you have removed the eggs, you have now cut off the life cycle.
Yes.
The second issue you are talking about.
Maybe clarity there.
Yes.
You know, we are
please.
speaking to our peasants.
Yes.
They must understand. So, Commissioner, once the mature moth lay eggs,
yes,
they don't stay in that place. They move.
No, the moths move.
Okay.
It's the eggs that remain. And by nature, by their creation, they put like a cover in the form of like a woolen material to protect the eggs. So when a farmer scrapes them, even if you leave 1 or 2 eggs, even if they hatch, they have no impact. They will be 2 caterpillars feed, and the damage is not much. Then what you are talking about the trench is that as these caterpillars move, they move en masse. This is why they are called the armyworms. They move in very large numbers. And now as they move on the ground to look for materials to feed on, when they find a ditch, by instinct, they also feel protected when they are in a hidden place. So they tend to go to these darker places, especially after feeding. And by the time they are down there in a ditch, definitely the farmer has an opportunity to come and even kill them from there mechanically. Now, when the situation has really reached a level where he cannot manage continuing with this type of process, that's when we are advised to use the recommended pesticide.
Very interesting. Our farmers and of course all Ugandans, we know many of us depend on supermarkets, depend on markets. However, we all have areas where I come from. And who knows, you could be in one of the districts that are affected. So you need this information to pass it on to that farmer for sustainability, because if the cereals are affected, at the end of the day, many who feed on posho, millet, sorghum will get to be affected. But also for the economic impact. Many of the people sell these crops, are able to pay school fees, feed and fend for their families through the garden. So we are looking at the African armyworm this time. Now, I'm reliably informed that government released about 600 million?
About 640 million.
About 640 million?
Yes.
That is to buy pesticides and also, I think, pumps or equipment.
Pumps and also protective gear.
And also protective gears.
Yes.
So, Commissioner, now, among the things you've talked about, we've not had pesticides.
Okay.
Yes, let's discuss that.
Thank you. As I have indicated, those are the basic principles, what to start from. But when the situation really escalates, we don't allow our farmers to continue doing this and maybe at the end of it lose the crop. So we have advised that immediately you see that there is that type of outbreak and it is overwhelming, you immediately report to the leaders that are near you. The LC1 chairperson will be knowing the sub-county extension person. The sub-county extension person will be knowing the district extension person. So the farmer should immediately report to any leader. Even if you are a neighbor to a honorable member of parliament, report to that honorable member of parliament. There is that network of our colleagues in the local governments, even ourselves. You report directly to us and we immediately intervene. And this is why government immediately, when we reported to our leadership, the Honorable Minister, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, and his colleagues, and also the Permanent Secretary, Major General David Kasura Chomukama, they responded immediately and availed the resources to respond to this cause. And therefore, earlier we had stocked some 3,000 liters of a pesticide as an emergency, and also a few pumps. But unfortunately, you know what happened to us. Our store got burnt, but we had salvaged some little, which we gave to our people, especially districts like Tororo, Busia, Bukedea, where the reports started from, and Ruero. So immediately again, we went into the process of emergency procurement, and we procured 20,000 liters, 100 motorized pumps, and protective gear. And again, we had to do what we call bioassays to test, does it work? Because you can easily procure this pesticide and it doesn't work. So we had to run into the field. Our colleagues did the bioassays, we tested and arrived at a rate of 100 mils to 120 mils in 20 liters of water of cypermethrin. This is quite effective at whatever stage of the caterpillar. You know, caterpillars also have stages. They go through what we call instars, from instar stage 1 to about 6. So when it is at around the instar stage 6, it is very fatty and very thick. And therefore, if you don't knock it down, now it will develop resistance that will go through again another generation. So this is why we say, if the caterpillars have reached about instar 4, 5, 6, you use 120 mils in 20 liters of water. When they are still small, you use 100 mils in 20 liters of water, and it is very effective. Then again, why cypermethrin? We selected cypermethrin because it belongs to a class of pesticides that biodegrade quite fast when interacting with nature. And it is in a group of pyrethroids, which pyrethrum, the plant we grow. This is where it is extracted, and maybe again science has helped in developing similar molecules that are like that pyrethrum. So this one, within 7 days, it will have biodegraded. And remember, I indicated to you that this African armyworm is again a very, very bad pest to our pastures. And therefore, if you spray in a grazing area, we recommend that you withdraw the grazing for 7 days. And after 7 days, the animals can go back and feed. And even these caterpillars you have sprayed will have started rotting, and therefore will not be a danger to the animals as they feed.
Well, that is a cypermethrin 5EC that is being used, and you've been told now at least there is a pesticide there, and we know government procured about 23,000 liters.
Yes.
And just a call away, you've assured us, Commissioner, that someone can get assistance. But let's look at also elements of forgery, counterfeit, because there are farmers who have the capacity not to wait for government intervention, but they can buy this. And I remember when we had the locusts outbreak in this country, many farmers were conned by fraudsters who just package anything, and then whatever pesticide government would mention can work, they were using it. So do we have any checks and balances towards this to ensure that a farmer who may not wait for government intervention but go and buy to apply on their farm, this cypermethrin 5EC is readily available and may be fairly affordable?
Okay, thanks very much, brother. You remember recently we had a country briefing at the media center, by the Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture, Honorable Bugino Chakulaga. And we informed the country, and we have been sharing the list of registered companies that import the cypermethrin we are talking about. That's one. Number two, we are advising our people that if you buy a product and it does not work for you, immediately with your receipt, report to the nearest authorities. The authorities can even be LC1, provided there is that receipt. It can be our extension people. And remember, His Excellency the President allowed us to have what we call agriculture police. This agriculture police is headed by a commissioner of police, Mr. Hilary Odoch. He is deputized by an assistant commissioner, Mr. Twebaze Alex, and other police officers. So the moment a report is received, response is timely, and we get these people. And appreciably, people have seen these operations in a container village, in Lugazi, in Masaka, in Kasese. So the moment we receive a report, response time is minimal because we have our colleagues, the agriculture police, on standby. So our friends, the private sector who are in business, you are really advised not to get tempted. The moment you get tempted and we have evidence, definitely we shall come for you, working with agriculture police, and we take you through the court processes, and we have prosecuted them. The container village friends know that. You see, what is even quite interesting is that they have gone into self-policing. For example, they have formed an association, they have their own code of conduct, and definitely a few errant, human beings, the way we are, there will be a few errant people.
Definitely, yes.
But the best is being done, and we already have a whole department responsible for crop inspection and certification. And therefore, the moment we receive a report that this is being done wrongly, this is being done like this, we come in, respond, and handle these culprits appropriately.
Most of these worms, there is a time for spraying.
Yes, please.
So which one is most convenient now when you are discussing the African armyworm?
You see, spraying a pesticide, number one, we must appreciate that we understand that a pesticide is poison. That's one. So our people, our farmers who are responding to this must be protected. This is why we recommend protective gear. At least cover the head, cover the mouth. We are used because of COVID. You can use the same mask to cover your nose and mouth, then cover the body. Then where possible, you cover the feet so that, and the hands with the gloves, so that the pesticide does not touch the body. Then secondly, if you are to spray, it should be after the dew has cleared from the plants. Because the moment you apply a pesticide, when there is dew, the dew will facilitate flow off of the pesticide. So around 9-10, when the dew has evaporated, you can go in and spray. And again, you must look at the other aspects, like, is it going to rain? You look at the clouds, you look at, all of those you assess, and you go in and spray when you have done the right mixing, and you have target the caterpillar. Not spraying like you are doing aerial spraying. It must be targeted where the caterpillars are. And this, you do the spot spraying. And if you do it very well, the good thing with the cypermethrin, the pyrethroid, is what we call a contact insecticide. It is fast acting. It will look for the nerve endings in this caterpillar and disorganize them, and the caterpillar will die off. So the moment you spray, after about 2-3 hours, the caterpillars will be dead. So this is the guidance we are giving to our people.
How quick is the system right from my if in terms of when a farmer reports? Because one of the things I've noticed, the speed at which this moth travels is definitely so high.
Yes.
First 2 districts, now 38, I don't know, as we speak.
As we speak, where there has been a report about this African armyworm is 50 districts. Yesterday, I received a report from Madi Okolo, my sister Grace, the DAO reported yesterday that they have seen them in Madi Okolo. So you can see, Madi Okolo is in West Nile. So you can see from Busia, Tororo, they have been migrating, and now they are already in Madi Okolo. But the good thing, where they have reported and we have responded, the caterpillars have died. And thirdly, with the onset of rains, these caterpillars that have just hatched, the very, very fragile young caterpillars, survival under rain is minimal. They get washed off. And another aspect that we feel is going to also make a big contribution is that when they reach the pupating stage, the larva that is due to pupate burrows into the soil and goes to hide there to pupate, form what we call a cocoon, and wait for opportune time to also come out the way the eggs hatch, also burst the cocoon and come out. But when it is now in the soil and we have enough good rains, they get submerged there, and because there is insufficient oxygen with the water logging in the soil, they also don't survive. So there is this natural phenomenon always that helps balancing naturally, that will be at play, and you have been seeing we didn't have these caterpillars, they have just come in. So that is how we are moving. So like the first 30 districts that reported, like in Wakiso, they had reported the caterpillars in Nakwero. Nakwero is just near here, near Gayaza, those sides, inside. If you go there now, there are no caterpillars. We went, what had remained, we sprayed them, and now with this onset of rains, nature has did its a wonderful job.
Commissioner, one thing that also comes to my mind, it seems we are going to constantly have these invasions, but is there a permanent solution away from saying it is climate change, therefore we render ourselves that they will always be coming and government will be spending lots of money onto this? Remember when we had the locusts, we had that is the fall armyworm. Now today we are discussing African armyworm. We don't know, maybe we shall discuss Europe armyworm, or then later Asian or something like that. So are there possibilities that maybe we can give farmers information, or maybe there are some trappers or some kind of a way of avoiding such?
Okay, thanks very much. Like most of these pests, number one, it is not a new pest on the planet Earth. The African armyworm has been around, and as I indicated, we already had outbreaks in Kenya, we already had outbreaks in Tanzania, and Uganda is a member of the other 9 countries we have been talking about under the Desert Locust Control Organization for Eastern Africa. So we have that early warning system that tells us this is happening here, this is happening here, this is happening here.
So it is going to come here.
So
there
is a likelihood that this is going to come. And therefore, during those days when we had enough numbers of people, you know, it is critical having the masses to do that service. We used to do that monitoring in our research stations. There used to be set traps to help us monitor. But because of these fluctuations, policy changes, some of these things are not yet revived. But as we continue building the numbers of extension workers, we are now at about 70%, which we really thank the government for.
But rare to come by.
Where?
Rare to come by. You can look for an extension worker.
Yes, because you might go to an area where he has not yet been recruited. As I have indicated, we are at around 70%. So when the numbers really are enough and we have the equipment, there is a monitoring system. They are what we call pheromone traps that you can set that can monitor, like this African armyworm we know. They are traps that can monitor the fall armyworm. They are traps that you can use to monitor the fruit fly. So those traps are there, but the deployment is not quite robust as of now. But we promise as we build the system back, these systems are going to be quite effective. Then the new pests, what we call the exotic pests that invade us, definitely those, the moment it is observed in any other country, we have a central repository, a central reporting system under FAO, and an arrangement of the International Plant Protection Convention with the Secretariat in Rome. So if anything is observed worldwide, anywhere, all these 100, over about 170 something countries, they observe anything, they immediately transmit the information to this repository where this data is reported, and this FAO Secretariat in Rome shares with the rest of the world. So they start telling us, yes, there is a pest, like if it is on mangoes. There is a pest on mangoes, so you people who are importing mangoes from such and such a country, observe for such and such signs, observe for such and such a type of pest. So there is that system that is very robust and works. For example, in Uganda, we have now discovered a new pest on mangoes. I apologize for diverting. This pest is what we call the mango mealybug. It was not in Uganda, it was in neighboring countries. And now it has been discovered in Ntungamo, in Sofia Cell, the Mirama, somewhere near the border. We have already reported to the IPPC Secretariat. Because Uganda, we have what we call the National Plant Protection Organization, mandated to do that type of reporting. So we have already reported, and now the world knows that if you want to bring mangoes to Uganda, that is one of the things we shall critically analyze, so that you don't bring a new pest. And for us also, those we export to, we have already informed the world that this pest is here. Therefore, when we are exporting, please watch out in case such and such a pest moves with the mangoes. So this is how these systems work. And therefore, the country should not get worried. There is a robust system for monitoring. This is why if anything happens, we immediately know what it is and we inform our superiors to inform the country.
Very interesting. Now, Commissioner, let's have your final remarks to farmers. There was a bit of panic, and of course, the media was awash with all kinds of stories regarding the invasion of the African armyworm. What are your last remarks to the farmers?
My last remarks to the farmers, our dear friends, our heroes. You know, Uganda, I really thank these heroes who have made sure Uganda is food secure for all this period. So, our heroes, the farmers, what I would like to inform you is that there is no need for panic. That's one. Number two, let us continue scouting our fields. When we observe anything strange, we immediately report. If those at the local governments cannot understand it, we have a mass of experts in academia. We have Makerere University, we have Mukono, we have Nkozi, we have at Maif. People have trained worldwide. So we have a mass of scientists that work together through task forces. Any challenge we face, we form a task force and discuss issues. An example point for the African armyworm, I would like to inform you, Mr. Kirabo, and the viewers, that on Wednesday, under the auspices of MAIF and the FAO, we are going to convene a meeting to assess ourselves as experts in crop protection issues. And the FAO is working with us, and the other NGOs and academia and research. Naro, my friend Dr. Otim Mike, we are going to sit and evaluate ourselves, including Operation Wealth Creation, Honorable Sarah Kataike, Director Policy. All of us are going to sit. There is a place where I am not advertising it. We are going to sit and evaluate ourselves at
how you're performing
at this
fighting this
African armyworm invasion. How have we fared? What has not been done right? What has been done right? And we see how to adjust and support the farmers. So my message to the farmers is that there is no need for panic. The country is aware of what is happening. We are providing updates to our superiors up to the highest level. They are aware of what is happening, and there is no need really for panic. Anywhere where you feel constrained, just report and we shall respond immediately.
I want to thank you so much. That is Stephen Tibeijuka, the Commissioner, that is Crop Protection, MAIF, for having found time. I know you have a very busy schedule most of this week,
yes,
but really thank you for having found time. And of course, to the farmers, there is no need for panicking. The pesticide is around, cypermethylene 5-EC, and government acquired this. And they are willing to come and spread your gardens should you report to the concerned authorities. So it is just you reporting, and of course the few methods that they have discussed, having that is a trench around your garden, hand picking these eggs, but most importantly is knowing that there's where you can run for help. And of course this help has proved that it can destroy the African armyworm. Have a lovely day, keep calm, God bless you, see you tomorrow same time, God willing.
Thank you, Mr. Kirabo, for this opportunity.
We also have enough air.
It is intellectually engaging.
And you can only become a leader when there are problems.
I like that.
The same applies to Rwanda, Burundi. So what are we federating?
Whether rats from another country can be, I mean, somebody must be there to hold everybody accountable.
But at the moment, we would rather deal with what we have, make it right.
First of all, we as elites of Uganda, we have made Museveni the issue. I can tell him Museveni is not the problem of Uganda. The problems of Uganda are much deeper. We can change the next 20 presidents and we'll still be this roundabout.
Deeply incisive.
The different political forces that we have in the country, we don't seem to really have achieved that minimum political consensus over certain things.
Authentically symbolic and insightful. Behind the Headlines, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. with Charles Odongto. All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Napoli faltered in Fuorigrotta against Fiorentina, and now Luciano Spalletti's men require a response against Roma to revive their Scudetto bid on Easter Monday. It is the penultimate match of round 33 on this Easter Monday. It is Napoli against Roma. Lobotka, Fabian Ruiz. Lobotka looking for Lozano, lovely weight on the pass. Is that a penalty? The referee says no. Well, I thought Lozano got in front of Ibanez. History and habit tells us that invariably when the referees go across to have a look, penalty. Up steps in